Hello and welcome to the Stash Down Diaries. My name is Jen and I love to knit socks. All the socks, all the time. I've been knitting socks for at least 10 years. It's been since 2013 or 2014. And since I've started my YouTube channel, I've really wanted to do like a special video all about socks. And since we are into Socktober of 2024, now is as good a time as any. It might be even the best time. So I'm going to get into it. What I want to do today is talk about like my sock knitting journey and cover off my favorite sock designers, sock patterns, and sock yarns. So I've made an effort to gather some socks here using yarns that are still available and using patterns that are still available, but there will be like a hiccup here or there. There's one actually I forgot to check beforehand to see if it was still available, but I will put it up on the screen. Yeah, so let's just get into all the socks. Yeah, so I just checked my notes and I did start knitting socks in late 2013. And on my Ravelry page, there are 151 projects that are socks. And that doesn't cover all the ones that I've knit because there are some project pages that are for more than one pair of socks. And then there are socks that never had a project page to begin with. Like I have one that I just forgot to do a project page for. You'll see that pair of socks later on. And I have some socks that I knit to sell as well to my coworkers and to my fellow search and rescue team members, and just never bothered doing project pages for all of those socks. So yeah, so I'm at a minimum of 151 pairs of socks so far and still counting because I'm just constantly knitting socks. But I am going to start with my first pair of socks that I knit. Actually, it is a single sock now. And here it is, and this is one of the ones, you cannot get this yarn anymore, unfortunately. This is Knit Picks Felici. And I don't know what Knit Picks is doing, because Felici is a very popular sock yarn. And they haven't had it on their site in a while, which... Anyway, but you can't get this, couldn't get this colorway for quite some time. Well, for like a decade, because that was when I knit this, was back in 2013. So the first pattern that I used to knit socks was a basic ribbed sock by Kate Atherley, who is a fantastic person to learn how to knit socks from. Actually, she has a book, and I will show it to you in a couple of minutes. But yeah, so this is my first sock, and I highly recommend to anybody who is starting out knitting socks to knit a ribbed sock as opposed to a vanilla one, because there's a little more forgiveness in a ribbed sock. They'll stretch out a little more around the foot and hug a foot a little bit more. Like as you, like it'll stretch out to get your foot in it and then hug it. So yeah, that's why I went with a ribbed sock, because there was a little more forgiveness in the fit. And I did not, as you can see, do a 2x2 rib. Yes, I did the 3x1 rib all the way down, and then the heel flap and gusset. If you know anything anyway that I can repurpose the sock instead of throwing it out, let me know. I know I could use it for some kind of little pouch or something. I don't know. But I'd hate to throw it away because it was my first pair of socks. And then the pair of socks after that, which I knit out of Drops Fable. Is that how you pronounce it? Fable or Fable? I don't think it's Fable, because I think it would be an L-E at the end. But anyway, if you know the yarn I'm talking about, then you know. Okay, so that was also a ribbed sock. And then I think there was another one after that. And then I started knitting, I don't think I have one of them here because the pattern is unavailable, but I started knitting vanilla latte socks, which is basically a broken rib. And then I started getting into vanilla socks. And then I started dabbling a little bit. So I'll start with the vanilla socks first. So to get the right fit and everything on my vanilla socks, I used this book, which is Knitting Rules by Stephanie Pearl McPhee, or The Yarn Harlot. And the pattern as it comes up on Ravelry is a good plain sock recipe. And it is inside this book. And It's where I learned the right amount of stitches for my foot, because for quite some time while I was learning to knit socks, I only knit them for myself until I figured out really what I was doing. So that one was a really valuable one. And then this one is one I use quite a bit. It is Custom Socks by Kate Atherley. So this one has charts in it that shows like a person's foot size and then what the measurements of the socks, what measurement of the foot would be for that size, so you can figure it out with your gauge and everything like that. So this has been invaluable. And then there's also some great patterns in here too. So highly recommend either of these books if you are a new sock knitter or not. But I knitted vanilla socks for a bit, and then I started to build a little bit more confidence, and I actually knit a pair of monkey socks, which was very ambitious. Unfortunately, this yarn is no longer available, but the pattern still is. So these are the monkey socks by Cookie A. They are a free pattern on Knitty. I love Knitty. I should go back and have a look at some of the backlog of patterns that are on Knitty. They're all free, and some of them are really, really unique. So yeah, and this one is on there. This was, I know when I started out knitting socks, this was hugely popular. I don't see it as often anymore, but I'm thinking I might knit it again. It's super intuitive. At the time that I knit this the first time, I was getting more and more used to knitting lace, so I thought, why not do it in a sock? And I think it turned out pretty well, right? It's a super satisfying pattern. So yeah, those are the monkey socks by Cookie A. There's one sock pattern that I've knit more than any other pattern, and that is the Simple Skip socks by Adrian, and I think you pronounce your last name Q. It's Ku, but I'm sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. But this pattern is one that I've knit 16 times, which is more, well, it's probably, other than vanilla socks, is more than any other sock pattern. And here they are right here. I got two examples. And this yarn is one of my favorites. This is opal yarn, a widely available yarn. And this is the Simple Skip pattern. Like I said, I knit this 16 times. It's a great pattern because it's intuitive, but not boring. So you can work on these while you're watching something on TV that you haven't seen before. So this is the 4-ply opal yarn. This colorway, they have like so many colorways, just like countless colorways, but this one was from their like sweet shop or something, sweets candy collection. So that is one. And then this is their 6-ply. And I really like their 6-ply yarn. So this is the Simple Skip in the 6-ply. So the pattern is made for sport weight, but if you know your stitch count and needle size for fingering, you can just adjust it for that, because it's the same multiple of stitches, I think. But that's what I would always do. I would adjust it. So these ones are sport weight. These ones are fingering weight. And yeah, just adjusted the pattern to fit the stitch count. So yeah, Simple Skip socks. That one is a popular one, and I've knit with so much opal yarn. The other commercial yarn that I've knit with a lot that I don't have here is Patton's Croy. I find that one super hardy as well. That's why I like this one. It's really hardy. Stands up well. I wear my socks in work boots and hiking boots and stuff, so I need a yarn that stands up well. I've knit a lot of the Patton's Croy for family who also use their socks in work boots and such, but I haven't knit a pair for myself yet. I have designated Patton's Croy in my stash that is for me, but I haven't knit it yet. I'm going to have to do that soon, maybe for this Socktober. But yeah, so those are two really hardy sock yarns that I like, opal and Patton's Croy. So, and that was the Simple Skip socks. The lighting is going to be doing really weird things because we're getting into the evening and there's clouds, so the sun is going to be coming in and out, but You gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, okay, so the next designer that I knit quite a few of their patterns is Mina Phillip. So what Mina Phillip did, and she's also known as the Knitting Expat, she came out with a collection called Beyond Vanilla. And that was right up my alley because I wanted something with a little more interest, but I was still like relatively new to sock knitting. And what her patterns are, so this one, in the first one, it was like pebbles, cobblestone, gravel, like those kind of names, because that's what they look like, little pebbles or gravelstone or whatever. So these ones are pebbles. And what she does, she has just like the texture on the front, and then you get this like kind of rest period on the back. This yarn is Fleece Artist Cottage Socks. It is one that I've knit with quite a bit, and you know, one that I will repeatedly purchase. This is their Father Christmas colorway. But yeah, so she came out with 2 Beyond Vanilla sock collections. So these ones are pebbles. This one, this is opal again. So this is cobblestone, and you can see the texture is similar, but a little bit different. And I think this one is from the second Beyond Vanilla collection. I could be wrong. And this yarn, I think it might be discontinued, but I'm not sure. And it's called, this is Yarn Ink yarn, but the pattern is called Meadow Socks. So those were the first collections of hers that I tried out and really enjoyed, and I knit a lot of them. And it was with her patterns that I started trying short row heels. She does the German short row heel in her patterns, and I love knitting it. I do, like, I really enjoy the process of knitting it more than the heel flap and gusset, but it just doesn't fit my foot right. But I knit, I think most of these have, oh, I'm holding up the same one. I meant to grab this one. That is definitely a short row heel. So some of these I did a short row heel, and then I kind of came to my senses and did a heel flap and gusset again. So, and I do the heel flap and gusset for my family because I'm assuming based on genetics that the heel flap and gusset probably fits their feet better as well. But that was not the only collection of hers that I was using. She came out with a New York sock collection, and I really, really love that one as well. And I have a couple of examples here of that, as well as another one of my absolute favorite yarn dyers. And this is Nomadic Yarns. So these ones right here are Dobby is a Free Elf. That's the colorway of Nomadic Yarns. And these are Mina Phillip's Q-Train sock design. And you see I did a short row heel there again as well. But Nomadic Yarns is still dying. I've bought quite a few of her yarns, but not for a while because of the stupid Canadian exchange rate. So she's in the States, I'm in Canada. It's unfortunate. We do have a lot of really great sock yarn dyers, self-striping ones too, self-striping yarn designers, yarn dyers in Canada, which you will see some of those here in a bit. So anyway, those are the Q-Train ones. My absolute favorite, I'm going to make sure I'm thinking of the correct, yeah, okay, so I was going to say these ones were the Central Park ones. They're not. This is the Times Square ones. I remember really liking the Central Park ones as well, but these are Times Square. And this is Nomadic Yarns Molly Weasley colorway. And this is on one of her sparkle bases. But I have knit so many of this Times Square pattern, especially for family. It is super intuitive. I just love it. And yeah, so I did the 2x2 rib for the cuff in this one. I was still doing the short row heel. I hadn't come to my senses yet. But I still wear these socks. They don't fit as nicely as I would like, or as some of my other socks do, but I still wear them quite a bit. So yeah, that is those ones. And then she came out with another collection, and I have an example of one of those here, especially because I want to talk about the yarn dyer. And that was her Cozy Socks collection, I think. Give me a minute. Yeah, it was the Cozy Socks collection. Very similar to the other ones with the texture on the front and the rest, like kind of rest section in the back. These ones are called the Nestle socks. And this yarn is turtle pearl yarn, which is one of my favorite Canadian yarn dyers. I probably have like 2 favorite self-striping Canadian yarn dyers, and there's some that I want to try as well that I haven't tried out yet. But turtle pearl is just like province-wide, like in terms of provinces, she's next door in New Brunswick. And yeah, I've knit with their yarn like quite a bit. So, and this colorway is called Cannonball. And I got this one. I couldn't resist it because I had an uncle who loved the color blue and his nickname was Cannonball, and he passed away back in 2003. And when I saw this and it was called Cannonball, I had to have it. So those are the nestled socks. I think that's the last example of Mina Phillips designs that I have, but it's by no means, those were by no means the only ones of hers that I've knit with. And I did come to my senses and do a heel flap and gusset. So yeah, these socks are really special to me just because they make me think of my uncle. But yeah. Since I've just talked about nomadic yarns and turtle pearl, I am going to take the opportunity, it's a great segue to talk about my favorite all-time self-striping sock pattern, and that is Heel Toe Do-Si Do by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. So she is here on YouTube if you have not heard of her, and she has some really great sock designs, and this is one of them, and it is my absolute favorite self-striping. And you'll see there's a pattern in the kind of patterns that I enjoy. They're very party in the front, business in the back, I guess. But as you can see, this is wonderful and super intuitive to knit. This is Nomadic Yarns again, and the colorway is Spring Fling. And yeah, I love these socks. And I think this is just, a lot of the heel toes and cuffs that you see are Knit Pick Stroll. So they're the easiest one, I think, to go purchase. Although now Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop is carrying Drops Fabble in the just solid colorways. And then she has a few opal just in the solid colors that I've purchased as well. So sometimes I use those. That was those ones. And then the Turtle Pearl, she just did an update and has this color in the update because it's almost that time of year. We're going to talk about pumpkins and stuff right now. We're not going to talk about this yet, but this is, the colorway is called Sugar Plum Waltz, I think, something like that. So this is another Heel Toe Do-Si Do by Crazy Sock Lady Designs. Oh, I have to cover my face so it'll focus. There. And then I kind of poke around to see if it's focusing, and then I ruin it. But yeah, that is those ones. Absolutely love that pattern. Yeah. The next designer whose socks I've knit a ton of is Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. Now what Helen would do is she would come up with the Handmade Sock Society. She also has a Shawl Society as well, but I'm like more of an avid sock knitter. And what that is that she would, you'd subscribe to the Handmade Sock Society towards the beginning of the year. I think some years it started a little later than others, but over the year in different months, I think it's every second month or something like that, she would release a sock pattern for you. And I absolutely love that. And I knew without seeing the sock patterns or anything that I would like them, because she's just, her socks are just absolutely lovely, which you're going to see in a second. First, I'll show you one of my favorite standalone patterns of hers, which is the Vintage Fairy Lights. And I think this one kind of made popular the Christmas Eve cast on trend in knitting, because I think it was originally designed to be a Christmas Eve cast on. Unfortunately, you can't get this yarn anymore, so I'm just not gonna. But this is Vintage Fairy Lights, and you can see the top of the sock is absolutely lovely. And it's just ribbed all the way. And yeah, really enjoy that. I might cast on another pair of these this year. It'd be very nice. I don't know how many balls of like tonal sock yarn I have in my stash. But anyway, I'm going to move on to her Handmade Sock Society patterns, some of them that I've knit, and talk more about yarns that you can get. So let's start. These are, I think they're the Magnolia socks. Yeah. So this is Fleece Artist Cottage Sock once again. And these are Helen's Magnolia socks. Really enjoyed knitting these. I enjoyed knitting all of them. So like if you want to dabble in cables a little bit in your socks, like this is a really great way to do it, because like you have that rest time in the back, like, and a little bit of lace. So if you just want to practice that stuff, these patterns are absolutely great for that. So that's the Magnolia socks. And then these ones, this yarn is Cascade Heritage. This one isn't as hard wearing as some of the other ones. I'm like, look how fuzzy that is, and the stitch definition kind of goes a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to be using this sock yarn again. Excuse me. There's a Cascade Heritage prints, and I find that one to be great, but just for some reason, this one got super fuzzy. So that's Cliff Walk. You can see the stitch definition a little better with the lighting. And this one is, I think it's Honeybee Dance. Yep, Honeybee Dance. And this is knitted out of Knit Picks Stroll. Not a common yarn that I use, mostly because it's from the States. You can't get it without ordering in the States. Although Knit Picks' shipping isn't too bad, but there's still the nasty exchange rate. So this is Honeybee Dance by Helen Stewart. I love this one as well. She just has like such a nice variety of like lace and cables and just texture and stuff. It's just wonderful. And then these ones, this is the Magnolia. No, I already did Magnolia. These are Feather Vein. I'm sorry, they're Feather Vein. And the yarn is Natural You Yarns, which is local to me here in Nova Scotia. There's Feather Vein. And I think the reason why I said Magnolia is because the colorway is called Magnolia in Bloom. And this is their Gots to Have It base. It is a superwash yarn, but it's an ethically superwash. So if you're looking for more ethical, because you know, like superwash can be super hard on the environment, this process is not so much. Whatever, I'm not well versed of the processes of superwashing, but I'm sure Jasmine and Andrea of Natural You are. So if you have any questions, they can probably answer them. But then their dyeing is absolutely beautiful, and as the name suggests, it's like natural dyes and stuff. So love their stuff. Those are Helen Stewart's Feather Vein sock pattern. So that is those ones. I think that concludes the yarn designers and yarn that I've knit a lot of. I am going now to get into some new to me designers and yarns. So one designer that I've just gotten into is a fairly popular designer. It is Summer Lee, and I've knit the Cider House socks. I'm going to put a picture of them here because they are one of my favorite pairs of socks that I've ever knit. I knit them out of Schoppelvol Crazy Zauberball, and I think the heel, cuff, and toes is just like opal or something like that. But I absolutely love those ones. And the other ones I've knit by Summer Lee are the Barbara socks, and I've knit these out of Timber Yarns in the gingerbread colorway. So that's two. That's a designer and a sock yarn that are new to me that I'm really loving. Speaking of Timber Yarns, here's their Optimistic colorway, which is gorgeous. And this is in that vanilla latte pattern that you can't get anymore. But anyway, I had this, like, I had to show this colorway of Timber Yarns because just look at it. And then they have like marled colorways. I have one of their sock sets. That's like a work sock set. It's actually up here somewhere. I think it's in this one that I'm going to knit for Socktober. Like some of these sock projects have been up here since like the beginning of summer because I just get them set up and I was ready to knit them for summer sock camp. And then whatever I wasn't knitting for summer sock camp is just going to roll over into Socktober this year. So anyway, so that's Timber Yarns. Another designer that I'm starting to get into is Nancy Wheeler of Knit Sip Happy. And I unfortunately don't have the socks of hers that I've knit because they were gifted, but here are the Fritty Beach socks right here. And I knit those out of like Knit Picks Felici. So anyway, yeah, so they're no longer under my roof. But I really enjoyed knitting that pattern, and I've purchased more patterns from Nancy, so I'm looking forward to knitting more of those. And then the final designer that I wanted to talk about that is new to me, whose patterns I've been really enjoying, is another Canadian designer. I don't think I mentioned Nancy's from New Brunswick, which is, you know, province next door. And then Dana Rae Makes is one that I've gotten into, as well as a new to me Canadian yarn. This one is called the Corn Maze Socks. I've just finished these just like a couple of weeks ago. I haven't even worn them yet. I just kind of block them and put them away. But yeah, look at them. So you're probably wondering, what is that glorious yarn right there? That yarn, the very bright one, is Windswept Fibers, which is out of Newfoundland, another next door province. And that color is called Sail Away. So that is a new to me yarn that I am really enjoying knitting socks with. But let's talk a little bit more about Dana Rae Makes, because I just knit another pair of socks. So she has a couple of pattern trios that are called, actually she has more than two. Some are thicker than the others, so thicker weight yarns. They're called Textured Socks 3 Ways. So there's Textured Sock 3 Ways, Textured Socks 3 More Ways. I have both of those pattern sets, and I knitted, I'll put it right here, a pair in opal yarn, and they have gone to their new home. And I purchased a few more of Dana Rae Makes patterns because I'm going to knit a whole lot more of them because I find them very enjoyable. So back to Windswept Fibers though. I knit another pair, and this is one of those pairs of socks that aren't in my project pages on Ravelry because I just, cast on vanilla socks, don't have to link it or whatever, and just forgot to put them in there. But this is both of her yarns, Windswept Fibers yarns that I've tried, are the BFL, Best Kind BFL sock base. And the reason why I love them so much is because they're made with BFL instead of merino. And you know, I've mentioned, I'm kind of meh on using merino for socks. It just really depends, I guess, on the twist. But anyway, I really love BFL for socks. BFL, Blueface Leicester. I know a lot of people just don't like hearing a bunch of acronyms. So anyway, this one is, it's like Puffins of Elliston Island or Elliston Island Puffins or something like that. And these were my Halloween socks last year. So it kind of looks, well, you got the orange and the black, and then this in here kind of looks like candy corn. Very enjoyable to knit with and just nice to wear. Well, enjoyable to wear. So that is Windswept Fibers. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this little trip down memory lane with me. If you enjoyed this video, I have a ton more. I do knit all of the things. I don't just knit socks. I knit garments and stuffies and shawls and small accessories. I really like knitting hats. They're super fun to knit. Basically, if I see a need for it or if I want to use up some of my stash yarn, I'm going to knit the thing to accomplish that. So yeah, if you want to like check out more of my videos, you are more than welcome to do that, and maybe give me a little like and a little subscribe, and let me know what sock patterns are your favorite down in the comments. I would really appreciate that because I always enjoy looking for new designers and sock patterns to sink my needles into. So have an absolutely wonderful Socktober, and I will talk to you again. Take care.